It's been a while, but what's new? I'm really bad at maintaining regularity in this channel. In fact, I'm bad at maintaining regularity in anything in my life, but I'm trying. So I think the last time I spoke to you, I was just back from Greece and I did a sketchbook review, and since then I have just been, I don't know, it's taken a while for me to get back into the routine of painting in my studio and getting stuff done. I felt for quite a few weeks after I got back stuck in a bit of a rut as that happens, you know. It's creativity is in a bit ebb and a flow. People say that all the time, and it is so true, because you know, you can't be creative 100% of the time. It's not possible. And so I do have ebbs and flows where I am really productive and really doing a lot of stuff, and then I have times when I'm just not. And it did take me a little while after getting back from Greece, and then we had school holidays, and then you know, getting back into the routine of working again. And I did have, you know, a few weeks there where I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I didn't have any kind of direction or goal to sort of head towards or anything like that. So I was just kind of fluffing around doing nothing in particular. But this last 2 weeks, I'm starting to get back into again, and creating some more art, and I've got some things coming up that I am working towards. So for example, I've decided to have an open studio, which is something that I haven't done for quite a few years. Our area does have a organised open studio weekend, but I missed on the application for that because I was overseas and doing things. But I've decided just to have my very own open day. So I know that a majority of my audience is not anywhere near me, but if you do happen to be a resident of Melbourne, Australia, and you're free on the 9th of November, which is a Saturday in about 2 weeks from now, come and visit me. I'm going to have my studio open. You can have a look at all the artworks that I have here. I'm going to have some sketchbooks out on display that you can flick through. Quite a lot of things will be discounted and reduced in price, just because I want to kind of get some things moving out of the studio, because it's getting a little bit cluttered and crazy in here. And I'll be here as well. You can ask me obviously any questions that you like. Yeah, so it's going to be just a day where the public can come in and see what I do. So I do have a lot to prepare for that. I've got to tidy up, obviously. I've ordered some greeting cards that I'm going to have for sale. I've got some artwork, some paper that I need to organise. So yeah, I'm working towards that. I'm also heading off again in a couple of weeks. About a week after the open studio, actually. I'm heading off up to Queensland for another 5-day workshop. So I've got to start prepping some things for that. And yeah, I've got some things I need to do. So yeah, I thought I'd just do a little bit of a tour of the studio at the moment and what I've got here and what I have been doing. And yeah, show you a little bit about that. So a few videos ago, I showed you the process of starting these paintings on these little boards. And they did start out as being abstracts, but I've kind of taken some of them on a journey away from abstraction. A few of them I'm happy with, and I've actually listed onto my website. These 3, for example, I'm really happy with how they ended up. They are abstracted, but they're still obviously landscapes, because I can't seem to get myself away from that. But those 3 are available online at the moment. Then there's these ones, which I'm still kind of fiddling around with. These two here, I think, are at a point where I'm happy. This one needs a little bit more work. This one here has gone off on its own tangent completely. This one here needs a bit more work as well, but I have been pottering around with those. And then, sorry, there's another one down here as well. This one I think is finished as well. But yes, I have been like in and out of these for a little while now, and I'm kind of happy with how most of them are looking at the moment. Since returning from Greece, I have also worked on a couple of Greece-inspired paintings. These have already been varnished, so it's going to be a bit hard to film them. Maybe if I just go at this sort of angle here. A few Greece-inspired paintings, just of the cliffs, and I've even added a few figures. This one had figures. There was another one that had figures in it that's already sold, but this is another. I did 3 in this series. Sorry, the reflections are really making it really hard. I love the texture that's in here, the colours of those rocks. And this one here, again, it's kind of got a bit of a glow about it, this one. So I have been working on this little series. So I had 4 of these. One of them has already found a new home, but these ones are up on my website. And if I just adjust my camera a smidgen, I've also just started working on this one here. Oops, sorry, this one here. This one I've also just finished, and this one's already sold. Sorry, try not to blur it out. This guy has sold. It's heading to the US. And this one, I thought I was done with it, but now I'm not so sure. I think what I'm going to do today is add a little bit more variation in the colours in the water. First, I wanted it to be quite flat because it's very busy down in this area where all this foliage is and all the shrubs, and look, even little, I even added some of these little houses in the distance and little boats. It's quite busy down here. And so initially I thought I needed this space to be a bit calmer, but I now think I need to add a little bit more variation in the colour. You can see I have got some lights and darks in there, but I think I need to add a bit more. I don't know. I'm still a little bit undecided. That's kind of what I came down here to do today, was to sort of add something in there, but I'm now looking at it and I'm not sure. Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it definitely needs more variations in the blues, but then I get here in person and look at it and I think, no, actually it's not too bad. I am very much undecided, but yeah, this is another one in the series of Greece paintings that I'm doing. Sort of a, well, when I say a series, it's a very loose series. This would be number 5 so far, and the biggest one. But compared to the others that I did, it is missing a little bit of the warmth, I think, that you get. That's why I want to change this water, make it a little bit more of a warmer blue. I'm not sure. But yeah, this one here is heading to a new home. This one has an amazing atmosphere to it. I'm really thrilled with how this worked out. This was just a spontaneous, I need to get in the studio and use colour to create something. And so this wasn't really planned. This is just a purely intuitive painting. So I just totally made it up as I was going, and I love it. And so does a customer. It's already heading to her home. So I have to package that up this week. It's Friday today, so I might come back in on Monday and package it. I need to varnish it first. So maybe today I will varnish it before I leave, so that by the time I come back on Monday, it's dry enough and I can package it. I just remember these little guys here as well. This is where, so these 2 were the beginning ideas of that one. So it's kind of where I got the vibes, but it ended up being completely different, but that's where the idea started. So these little panels started it, and then it ended up in a different place, but I'm actually quite happy with how it ended up. Another little side quest that I'm working on at the moment is a commission for someone. She wants a still life, so I was just working out some layout and color composition ideas here. I'll be working on this probably next week. I really want to get this out of the way before the open studio and also before I head to Queensland. So I sent through a couple of these pictures to her just to make sure I was on the right page. So that's something else I need to work on. That's another to-do list. There's a lot of those at the moment. So that is a few of the things that will be happening. And so today in the studio, I only have about an hour here. So I came down to maybe work on this one here. I'm definitely going to varnish that one so that it's ready for me to post next week. So I might just pop the camera up and I don't know, you can watch me decide whether I add more color to that one or not. I think I will. I mean, look, worst case scenario, I can just paint it back over how it is, you know. That's what I keep reminding myself whenever I'm in this point of being stuck as to whether I need to move forward with the painting or just leave it. I remind myself that it's just paint and I can literally just paint it back the way that it was. It's not the end of the world. So I think I'm just going to jump in and add some colors. The reason why, like for example, looking at this one here, the variation in color, this is what I'm talking about. See how there's all the variations that are happening in that color? And even this one here, if I pick it up, this one here, you know, there's more of this turquoise kind of blue. I think I need to add that into this one over here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. All right. So I have ultramarine, turquoise, a little bit of phthalo blue and some white. I'm just going to play around with a couple of those and see what happens. I think down around here, so my problem is a lot of the turquoise, I have turquoise in here. So that's why I think I might have to add a little bit of ultramarine to maybe make it a bit bluer. Maybe a bit of turquoise and phthalo. That's got a bit more of that greenish kind of tropical color to it, which is kind of what I'm looking for. It's looking a little bit to Southern Ocean, which this isn't the Southern Ocean, this is the Aegean Sea, which is Mediterranean. So I need to kind of get it to have a bit more Mediterranean feel in the colouring. I don't want to disturb these boats too much because I really like those boats, but I do want to add in some different colours in here. Maybe a bit more phthalo blue, even though that's quite a cool blue. Add a bit of that in. Down in here. It's looking a bit better already. So I can even add some of that out here. It's just feeling a little bit flat for my liking. So this is people always ask me what paint I'm using. This is the Matisse brand paint. It's by Derivan, which is an Australian brand. It's the heavy body or structure, it's called. Let me see if I can find a jar. Hang on. This is the brand here. Focus, there we go. So Derivan Matisse. So this is the Aqua Light Green, or Aqua Green Light, it's actually written as. So this is the paint that I use. So this is the structure. It's very thick, which I actually prefer using quite thick paint because I feel as though it's very versatile. You can always water it down to make it thinner, or you can keep it thick and create a lot more texture in the paint. Anytime you're painting water, you always want to make sure that your brush strokes are painted horizontally, because water is flat, essentially, especially the further away it gets, the flatter it's going to appear. And so you always want to have your brush strokes going this way. Just a little pro tip for you there. So all I'm doing is just alternating between these blues and trying to create a bit of variety in this area. So it's already starting to look a lot more textured. It matches in a bit more with what's down here. I can go a bit lighter up here because it's a bit further away. might be a little bit too light. Get back to that. It's a subtle difference, but I'm much happier. It's not really showing up that well because of the glare, but there is definitely a lot more light and variation in the colour up in the ocean. It's not as flat as it was, so I'm much happier with that. Again, it's a subtle difference. You guys might not even be able to see it on film. I'm trying to get it without the glare, but it's not going to work. But I'm happy with that. I've added a bit more turquoise down here as well into these boats. So, mission accomplished for today, which, you know, it was a small mission, but it's done. I'm happy with that. Varnishing is another question I get asked about quite a lot. Again, I use the Matisse brand. This is Final Varnish Gloss Finish. It's terps-based varnish, and it's very watery. And so it goes on really easily. I usually only do one coat, just enough to seal the paint. Because I'm using acrylic paint, often it can be quite matte when it dries. So if I go over here, you can sort of see it's matte, it's not glossy. It depends on the brand of paint as well. Some brands are more glossy than others, but by varnishing it, what it's going to do is create a nice layer over the whole painting. It's going to protect the painting. It's going to mean that if it gets dusty in the future, you can just get a damp cloth and you can wipe the painting down, and it's not going to damage the acrylic paint at all. But it's really easy to apply as well. You just brush it on with a brush. So that's what I'm going to quickly do now before I head out of the studio for the day. I'm just going to give a quick coat of this. Hopefully you can see that sheen that's on the canvas now. So that's the varnish. So it's only a very thin layer, but it's enough to make the colours pop out, and it also gives the whole painting an even finish. So instead of having areas that are a bit matte or a bit glossy all over the place. The whole painting is now the same. So that's the purpose of varnishing, and that's why I do it. It's to protect the surface and just to create a nice finish. So this painting is just on loose canvas. So the client, once, because she's in the US, once she receives it, she can take it to a framer and have it stretched. So this is a stretched canvas, so it already has the timber on it. This is just a loose canvas. So that's the difference. But shipping overseas, it's much easier to ship it as a loose canvas rolled up, which I do quite often because it's a lot cheaper and it also protects the painting. Shipping something like this in a stretched canvas is asking for damage. It's really hard to ship paintings like that overseas because you do run the risk of things getting punctured and ripped. So it's much safer to do it this way. So I haven't varnished this one yet, obviously, because I'm not quite sure if it's done yet, but I'm definitely happier with the texture in the water now compared to what it was. So yeah, I'll think about this one for a couple of days and then maybe pop it up on my website next week if I'm happy with how it is. But I do love the little details. Like, I don't often paint things like this in my landscapes. It's usually just the nature and the landscape, but I like these little hints of man, people inhabiting the landscape. These little houses with the terracotta roofs that are very, very Greece. Because it's a populated island, like there's tourists everywhere, so I had to include those. But yes, that's what this is. So yeah, I think I'm done for today. This is the current state of my studio, which is why I need to do a heck of a lot of cleaning up before the open studio. I've got to tidy all this up. I've got to get rid of all this stuff. I've got to get rid of all this stuff, just everything. I'm actually also going to probably paint this wall back to white again so I can display some artworks on here, because this is a nice, back it up. This is a nice big wall. So I can display a lot of artwork on here, but I want to give it a coat of paint first. So I've got to do that. And yeah, it's chaos. There's, things without lids on them, and there's tubes that never have lids on them that I have to like constantly punch holes back in again. But this is how I live. This is how I work. It is organized chaos. The last thing that I want to talk about for this video before I sign off is a new project that I'm going to be working on over on Patreon. November starts in a few days, and I've decided to give myself a bit of a challenge to create a narrative painting of some kind every day in November. So I'm going to be recording the process. So every day in November, I'm going to practice creating a narrative-based painting, sketch or study in my sketchbook, and I'll be sharing the videos of the process on Patreon every day. So narrative art is a genre that I have admired from afar for many years. It's sometimes a little hard to pin down the definition, but it's basically artwork that tells a story or conveys some kind of emotion to either the viewer or an emotion to the artist. Generally speaking, it usually involves some kind of character or person, so a subject matter, or several people, and that's something that I don't usually work with. So I wanted to have a bit of play around with it and give myself a bit of a challenge to work on. Because generally speaking, my art is definitely not narrative. I tend to paint landscapes and still life paintings, and I enjoy just capturing nature as it is. So experimenting with including people and stories in my paintings is very much out of my comfort zone. But I'm going to be keeping it simple to begin with and just seeing what happens over time. But yeah, I thought that it would be fun to share the process with you all. So you can join me over on Patreon, and every single day I'll be releasing a new video showing the process that I've created for that particular day, or the sketch that I've created for that day. So in order to have access to this, you'll need to be part of the Watch and Learn tier or the Art Business tier. And yeah, I'll pop a link in the description to my Patreon account, and hopefully I will see you there.